Hey. You're joining me from literally inside my compost bin, and we're here to talk about zero waste packaging and compost. So I made a different video about some of these soaps I bought online, and I bought something on Etsy that came in this, and it really piqued my interest because I've been doing a lot of research into bioplastics and zero waste plastic packaging, and like they have these compostable plastics now, but it's not really compostable, so I have heard, or so my research is coming out. And so when I got this and it says 100% compostable and it says okay compost, I figured I'm gonna try it and I'm gonna stick it in my compost and see if it decomposes. So this, as well as these two little stickers that came off of some Ethique packaging. I bought shampoo bars, no plastic shampoo bars, but it says these are biodegradable stickers. So I'm only gonna cut these ones in half, because might as well break them down a little bit. I figure the more you cut it, the better chance this stuff has at breaking down, because most bioplastics that claim they're biodegradable and they're plastics aren't really biodegradable in most compost situations. They often need to be in, what do they call it? Like high temperature industrial composting facility. And they aren't what I do. It's not what most people have the ability to do in their backyards, you know? And if you're trying to be zero waste and you're trying to compost to get rid of your own waste, the whole point is to be so that I can take care of my own waste, you know? That's why I don't like buying things in plastic, because I can't recycle them on my own. Some of it I can reuse, like Tupperware containers and stuff, like use my cashew container to collect my compost bits, but whatever. But like loose plastics, grocery bags, I can't do much with that. I use it, but then when I use it and reuse it, I just use it as a trash bag and it ends up in a landfill. So I've been wanting to find like actually compostable plastics that are being produced. I would love to have compostable trash bags personally, because I would love to package up my dog poop in compostable bags. Wouldn't that be lovely? Because then it wouldn't just be sitting in a landfill, wouldn't just be shit in a landfill, it would just be shit in a landfill, and I'd be okay with that, because right now what we don't have is, we don't have shit in a landfill, we've got shit in a bag in a landfill. That's ridiculous. Poop's supposed to go to the ground, and that's something I'm very passionate about. If you're someone who's close to me, you've been around me at all in the past few months, all I talk about is composting toilets. And composting toilets are one of the reasons I want bioplastics, because if I could just shit in my composting toilet and it goes directly into a compostable plastic bag, and I pick up that bag, and I throw away the bag, and then bam, my shit goes right back into the earth, you know, no muss, no fuss, straight compost. And I've just been so like passionate about composting lately. I've noticed some of the ways that composting has affected my life. Like, aside from just, I like that I throw away less trash, is one of the reasons I like to buy plastic-free shampoos. When I buy shampoo in a shampoo bottle, I feel like I'm purchasing waste. I'm purchasing a bottle to throw away. Makes me angry, you know? But when I compost, I make use of my trash, and I feel really good about that. Like, Riley just ran out here, he's making breakfast, he dropped a mushroom on the floor, he said, bam, put it in the compost, you know? This is the remnants of a hat, that I really liked this hat. I begged my grandmother to buy it for me years ago. It was at an estate sale in Waco, Texas, and I really liked this like old man hat, and I never wore it. I've had it for years, and then finally the tweed broke. It was really sad, but I kept it around, and I was like hoarding it. And that's what I was gonna get to next about composting has changed my attitudes about hoarding. Keeping things I don't want. If it's not serving me, how can I make it serve me? Well, I can turn it into my soil. So I cut up the hat. It's all biodegradable. Why not? I took the ribbon off. I peeled the hot glue off the ribbon. And I cut up the tweed and I put it in my compost. And I feel so good about that. It's like, instead of like when you Marie Kondo, when you do her whole thing, you have to say goodbye to your stuff and thank it for its service. But I don't need to say goodbye. It's still here. It's still serving me. Well, that's because it's not decomposted yet. But we'll get there. We will get there. This is fun. Just cutting up my compost and ranting to the camera. Does anyone want this content? I don't know. That's the other thing I was going to bring up about compost, though, to get us back on topic, on schedule, on track. And zero waste. That's what we're talking about. Ethical living. You know, we already know it's so hard to live an ethical life these days. Life is so complicated. That's what The Good Place ended up being about, was there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Because when life is so complicated, you know, it's, well, okay, I can buy from a cruelty-free company because they don't test on animals, but they still package in plastic, and I'm still throwing all this stuff away all the time, you know, and that makes you upset. But then I buy from a zero waste company, but since they're niche, you have to get it shipped on an airplane that uses jet fuel. But then there's things like carbon offsetting. But is carbon offsetting actually doing anything? I don't really know. When I spend extra money on a product because they do carbon offsetting, are they actually planting trees with that money? Or is it what they call greenwashing? Is it all phony? And it's so frustrating how much research you have to do on a company before you spend your money with them if you're trying to spend your money ethically or whatever. And ethical life is just so hard. It's just so hard. Didn't mean to get all religious and philosophical in the middle of a compost video, but I was having a conversation about Judaism with a good friend of mine, and we're talking about all kinds of things and all kinds of religions, and I was talking about the idea that practicing Judaism inadvertently makes you a better person. And I was trying to think about why that is. And I think it's because when you have such a rigid religion like Judaism, it forces you, like everything, if you keep kosher, every little bite of food you put in your mouth, you have to stop and ask, well, what kind of kitchen was this cooked in? Well, what kind of utensils did they use? How did they slaughter the animal, you know, and this and this and that. And it starts to feel like the same kind of work you need to put into daily life to be an ethical shopper under capitalism, because there's so many things in the world that are unethical. You have to look at every little detail before you can decide, is that okay? Is that kosher? You know, and I think that living under rigid rules like that, even if it's, you know, rigid rules for like religious reasons versus like environmental reasons, it just changes you. It changes how you interact with the world around you. I think that's one of the reasons why Judaism works. Hey, ooh, more compost. Riley brought me eggshells. This is so fun. Yeah, so those are some of the thoughts I was having today. What kind of thoughts have you had lately? Anything interesting, philosophical? Does your compost make you think? Let me know. I want to know. I want to know what your compost thinks about. I think my compost wonders why I keep putting seeds in it and then refusing to let those plants grow. Some people say you're not supposed to put seeds in compost, like large pits and stuff. I don't know. I figure it'll break down eventually. If it starts to grow, it starts to grow, and then that's great because I forget to add to my compost sometimes. So it's growing its own organic matter to then just be chopped up and put right back in. Fun stuff. I can't believe I'm still cutting this. It's because I keep talking. I went on a real rant there for a minute. At least it was interesting. Now I'm not even saying anything interesting. I don't know. I think I'm gonna start posting on YouTube more often. I'll talk about that for a bit now that I'm towards the end of my cutting here. I recently bought an RV and I'm trying to do as much as I can to get my life a little more off the grid, a little more plastic free, a little more all of that stuff. You know, big dreams is have a farm out in the middle of nowhere. So I got the RV and I figure it'll be a fun project to teach me how to build, teach me how to fix things, and let me start exploring the world and see where I want this land to be. Because now that I know I want land, it's like Nevada, Arizona, do I want to try Colorado? Do I want to go out to Texas? Who knows? Probably out in the middle of Arizona or Nevada because I want something cheap. But that's that. And now I'm gonna flip you around. We're finally gonna turn my compost. Some other kitchen scraps from the past week or so. I've been eating so many mangoes, it's disgusting. But at any rate, I chopped up this bubble wrap pretty small. So I guess over the next few months, I'll just have to keep an eye out for it. I meant to leave one piece big and see how quick that degrades, but oh well. I think having it all chopped up just gives it the best chances, and I want it to work because I like the idea of that. That's a really cool thing. I want to ask this Etsy shop where they bought these from. In the meantime, here's some compost ASMR. And that's that.